Welcome to WMB Business. I'm Steve Dorfman here with Tony Marciante. Stress-less leadership. That's what we're talking about today. Imagine a stress-free leadership position or stress-free work environment for your team. That's what Freddi talks about in her new book, StressLESS Leadership, the essential guide to stress reduction in the workplace. Freddi's company is Business Stamina, and she's an executive coach, also certified in Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP for short. Freddi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we know that the statistics show that stress is on the rise.
Yes, it is.
It's probably been the case for a number of years now, right? Mm-hmm. At least it seems and feels that way. But statistics show this. And so what's different today that has that be?
I think it's really two factors. There's the external factors, environmental issues, lots of pollution, more waves going through the air, more information coming at us than ever before. And I think that's part of it. And then there's this internal, more personal style of collecting data and having to sort it and not knowing where to spend your time and attention. And that creates stress. And meeting expectations of just day-to-day living creates a lot of stress with lots of people.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about some external things and some internal things, and yeah, I can see. I mean, I would have thought about a couple of those, but thinking about the environmental stuff even isn't necessarily something that people think about. And it certainly seems that we seem to put ourselves under more stress these days, and there's it seems like there's more expected of us, or at least we get that sense that there's more expected of us. In fact, I was Tony and I participate in a goal-setting group once a month, and one of the people in our group was saying that somebody was commenting you look like you have it all together, right? And sometimes we think of our colleagues this way, that they just seem to have it all together, and then you say that to them, and they say, "Oh, you have no idea, right?"
Let me tell you my truth.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you make of that? What do you think of? Because it's not a facade necessarily. I mean, it's not like especially this person that I'm thinking of. It's just not putting on airs.
Right.
But we seem to hold ourselves to a higher standard than everybody else is holding us to.
Well, stress is also very much an internal game. It's really your world and how you're taking in and sorting data and deciding and choosing on what to focus on. And so when you choose to not let certain things bother you, your stress level goes down. For example, if you're commuting to D.C. every day, if you let stress get to you, you're going to arrive at work stressed every day. Mm-hmm. Yet if you change your mind and say, I recognize my commute's going to be this long, and just make a decision internally and accommodate it for it, then the stress level just automatically goes down. So I really think reducing stress is a choice that we make internally. And some people understand that, take responsibility for it, and view the world slightly differently.
I listen to a lot of books on CD, and so I had a total mindset shift about traffic when I started doing that. Now I don't have the DC commute, and I don't put myself in traffic all that often. But when it does happen, when it does occur, and it can occur in the middle of the day around here, you never know. Just knowing that it just means I have more time with my book.
Right.
Just knowing that it's like the stress. There's no more stress around that like there used to be. So having tools like that, I think, are
and planning ahead for certain things that are going to be inevitable around here.
Oh yeah, I mean so many of us tend to procrastinate and try to put ourselves at the front door at exactly the time we're supposed to be there instead of building in the buffer.
Right.
Yeah. So what does all this stress? What are the implications of too much stress in our lives or in the workplace?
They're huge.
Got a couple hours.
Yeah, they're huge. Stress is a toxin almost in the body. It creates an acidic environment in us. It gives us headaches. It causes us to have weight gain because our adrenaline goes up, so cortisol pumps into the system, and that creates energy in the system that has no place to go. And so heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, TMJ, all sleep disorders. There are all kinds of implications that are to some degree manageable if you choose to take responsibility for the stress level. So that includes exercise, finding a way to get better sleep, more water in your system, and just reducing some of the toxins that you're putting in the system, which brings the stress level down.
Makes perfect sense. You have a philosophy that the leaders in an organization are the best people to model
Yes.
Stress reduction.
Yes.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more about that.
Well, a lot of people in a working scenario are looking to the leaders of the organization as their role models on how to operate within an organization.
I want to stop you right there for one
Yep.
sec. Do you think that that's a conscious thing most people do, or is some of it really unconscious that we...
Excellent point, Steve, because I think a lot of it is unconscious. And so we're looking to make sure that we're pleasing the boss in a way, because that's how you get your promotions and keep your job. Mm-hmm. So you're looking to model them and act as if they do. And if the boss is working from 7 to 7 and not spending much time with their family, or is coming in the door like this, then that's the kind of behavior that is acceptable, because that's what the boss is modeling. Mm-hmm. And so if the boss were saying, I'm leaving, going to work out, having a healthy lunch, encouraging people to go outside and take a walk if they seem to be under stress, why don't you go walk around the block and I'll meet you back here in 5 minutes and we'll continue the conversation. That's giving them permission to actually participate in healthier choices during the day.
We've been hearing about NLP for a number of years, and I once heard it's like 100 years old or something.
Yeah,
right?
it's been around a long time.
Yeah, and so you're certified in this
Yes.
NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. How does that work its way into what you do?
NLP is the study of word patterns. In the simplest form, it's the study of word patterns, and words are the indicators to our belief system. So when we choose to use words that say that something that you like or something that you don't like, it's an indicator what the belief system is. So when we get those clues as a coach, then I can capture that little clue and drill down a little bit on it so that we can really discover what's at the heart of the matter. There are some words that are very ambiguous, and time management might be one of them, for example. Well, I don't have great time management skills, and so therefore I'm always late. So there's the cause and effect. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, what do you mean by time management skills? So then you want to drill down and figure out that the person just doesn't like to get out of bed in the morning, you know? And
so that's what you mean.
Yeah, so now what do we do with that information? So it's a little doorway into something else that's going on. So it's a wonderful tool to dig deeper. That's how I use it in coaching.
And great segue to the next question. In the book you talk about all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
What is that?
Dangerous. Because it doesn't need to be every day you work out or every meal you have is healthy. That puts a lot of burden on our history. For example, if you grew up as an Italian and you used to have an 8-course meal, and now you're asking yourself to just be happy with 1 or 2 courses, that might be in conflict with family values. So the all or nothing thing is, well, what works for you? And how can you make choices that are congruent with your value system, your beliefs, and so that you are able to sustain it? Because it's all about sustainability. As we're making choices to reduce stress in our lives, it has to be congruent with the rest of who you are. That's why there's so many options. There's so many ways you can do it. Meditation, for example, is a great tool. But for somebody like me, I have a hard time sitting still. So it's a great tool for me for about 3 minutes. But there are other people that can do it for an hour, and they really get benefit from it.
And I bet you can get benefit from the 3 minutes as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, in the book, you also talk about the words that we use that can create stress in others.
Right, right. The words have to, should, must. You have to. If I were to say, you have to get this report done by 5 o'clock, that may be an accurate statement. A better way of saying it would be, the report needs to be done by 5 o'clock. How are you, is there anything in your way to prevent you from getting it done by 5 o'clock? And that gives the person permission to think for themselves, what kind of obstacles might I have? And it shows an expression of interest. Yeah. Whereas if I'm just barking out orders, that kind of has a tendency to have you go like that.
It also becomes a conversation.
It does.
Right? Now and just by doing that, there's reciprocation, and the person's going to take ownership of that commitment, right?
Right.
Because they're saying it.
It's a two-way piece, and a lot of leaders, when they begin to understand that communication they are as responsible for delivering the message as the individual who's receiving the message is for understanding the message. When they take that responsibility for both the delivery and the reception, then the comprehension goes up and all kinds of wonderful things happen. And there's a lot less stress in the relationship.
And I would imagine that there are a number of leaders that might hear that and say, well, they just need to understand my leadership style.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat, I'm not going to change the way that I say things. They just need to understand my leadership style. What do you say to those folks?
That is the definition of someone who we consider in our industry to have low emotional intelligence, because they're so focused on themselves and not aware of the impact that they have on others. So when the leader decides, I want to have more influence over others, and they take steps into learning new skills, their sensory acuity goes up. So they're more aware of what's going on in the other person, so that they can modify the way they communicate in order to match that person. And that's the definition of a great leader. A great leader has a lot of flexibility in how they communicate, so that they can communicate with lots of different people.
I've heard it said that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less.
Well, that's an excellent point.
And so, if a leader really believes that, then of course they're going to be open to that conversation, because how are you going to influence somebody if your attitude is, that's just my leadership style and they need to get used to it?
Right.
That's not
now,
influence.
and unfortunately, for those people who are veterans and they came out of that structure and they were trained that you do what you are told and there are no questions asked, and then they come out into the private sector and now there's different rules. So that leadership style may work in that, sort of the military background, but not necessarily in business, in the business world.
Well, Freddi, what are some simple ways that people can even act on today that will help them reduce stress in the workplace?
Well, the first thing, the simplest things is tapping into something that you carry with you every day, and that's your lungs. If you take a breath, when we get under stress...
As soon as you say it, we're already doing it, yeah.
When we get under stress, we stop breathing. And you may not even recognize that you're not breathing until you recognize that you're not breathing. And then you go, okay, let me just take a minute here. And the way that I recommend in the book is 2 breaths in, 4 breaths out, or 3 in, 6 out. So the ratio is 2 to 1, so that you exhale all the dead air and you're inhaling oxygen. And it just helps to cleanse the head and get you to think a little clearer. That's one.
Wait, how do you do 1 in and 2 out? I'm trying to.
I'm sorry. Okay, so it goes. You go
4 nostrils.
So 1, 2 in. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Take twice as long.
To exhale.
Twice the count. Got it.
Than you do to inhale.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. And that causes the body to go into a state of relaxation. You can try it after we're done. Yeah.
I've also heard that your belly's supposed to rise. I saw Dr. Oz ask somebody one time to take a deep breath, and we all when somebody asks us to do that, we tend to go with our chest, right?
Yes.
But when you watch the way a baby breathes,
it's through the belly.
It's the belly going up and down.
Because that means that you're relaxing the whole upper body, and you're letting the breath go all the way into the body and go into the belly and then out again. And a lot of our stress happens in the gut. A lot of our whole health is in the gut. So you want the oxygen to get down there as much as possible.
That's really good. Well, we have got to take a break, but when we come back, I want to ask you about your involvement with the ICF, the International Coach Federation.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
So you're watching We Mean Business. We're here with Freddi Donner. We'll be back in seconds.
This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Of course it's not happening. Armored car.
Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me. Feed the pig.
Welcome back to We Mean Business. I'm Steve Dorfman here with Tony Marciante, and our special guest today is Freddi Donner of Business Stamina, and we're talking about her new book, StressLESS Leadership. So Freddi, can you give us another technique that people can use in the workplace to help reduce stress?
One of the things that I work a lot with my coaches, with my coaching clients, is to help them change their mind. And by that I mean, if you have a belief about a certain person or a certain situation that creates stress in you, you have a choice to change that belief. So say, for example, you're going in to talk to your accountant or the accounting team, and they always create stress in you. When you decide, I'd like to have a better encounter, let me look for a better way to communicate with them or a different way to appreciate them, then that will reduce your stress within that relationship. And that can work for individuals, that can work for situations. If even going to the dentist causes you a great deal of stress, when you decide, let me think of a different way of looking at this so that I can take better control and reduce my own stress.
I really like that, and I think that I'm seeing a common thread in some of the things that you've shared with us today, and that is what I've noticed is that there are a number of people who think that they're at the effect of the world.
Right.
And then there are those who know that they can affect their world.
Excellent.
So about taking responsibility for what we're bringing into a relationship or into a situation, and your tips are just great there.
Yeah.
So tell us about your board member with the ICF, the International Coach Federation.
Correct, yes. International Coach Federation is an international organization that is all about helping to promote the profession of executive coach, or any coaching for that matter. I just happen to be the executive coach. And we have, I think, 22,000 members worldwide. In D.C., we're 800 members, and my role is to focus on community outreach, and that is to work with nonprofits and organizations to introduce them to coaching by offering some pro bono coaching hours.
Great. Because
it's like, I always use the analogy, it's like riding a bike or swinging on a swing. Coaching, you need to experience it in order to really get the full effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
You touched on NLP, and I studied a little bit of that many years ago. Just a couple books that I've purchased, and it's not in the mainstream very much. Why do you think people don't like regular, because it's very impactful.
It's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
Why isn't it
It's actually much more popular in Europe.
Okay.
Because at some level in history, it got some bad names, because as much as it can be used for good, it can also be used for bad. So if I wanted to, I could induce a rash in you using NLP. And it is...
do it. Let's see. That would be a show.
And actually, when I was certified, we had to actually sign a document that said you will never use this for bad, because it is such a powerful tool of getting into an individual into a state, a positive state, but you can also induce a negative state. And there's all kinds of studies done where they have tested the belief systems of individuals, and one in particular was with some young boys. Some were allergic to a particular leaf and others weren't. And they told them that they had swiped their skin with the opposite leaf, and even though the opposite leaf was non-toxic, they broke out in a rash because they believed that that was the toxic leaf.
Wow.
And so it can be very powerful when you change a person's belief about their current self or situation. And that's probably why, because a lot of people will say, oh, that's a little woo-woo. And, and it can be very positively impactful, but it can also be damaging.
It seems like there's almost like two sides of the whole brain and reality connection, where some of it you think we can control everything that we think and believe and do, and some of it is almost like a processor in a Mac or a PC. You know that it just, things will happen, even so the good side of NLP and the bad side, it will happen either way.
Because in NLP, you will be working with the subconscious belief system, so you may not even be aware of what your belief is until you get there.
Wow.
And then it becomes a revelation.
Wow. How about procrastination? Not that anybody does that.
Oh,
we can talk about that.
Can we talk about it later? Yeah.
What about that and stress?
Well, that I do a workshop on that. Procrastination is a result of one of two things. There's actually three, but the two that I'll mention is perfectionism, meaning that I really want to get it done perfect, so I'm not quite ready yet to do it, or a lack of understanding. I don't know what to do, so therefore I won't do it.
I won't even take the first step.
I'm not going to take the first step. So procrastination is sort of the outward...
What if I have both of those things?
Yeah, right. I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, well, we can help you with that. So it is the outward result of either I need to get it perfect, so therefore I don't have time to start, or I don't have enough information. And there's fear. There's a fear, underlying fear there. And the result is procrastination, which, of course, in teams can be very stressful, because if you're waiting for the document that I need to give you in order for you to finish the project to give to him, and I'm the one procrastinating, it has this huge domino effect on the team. So that's
This would explain why lots of people keep their tax bundles in the bottom drawer of their desk until April 14th, right?
Yes,
Right.
Because it's a daunting task.
Yeah.
It's very daunting. It's not that they don't want to get it done, but until we're pushed to the last minute, and actually some people perform better under that pressure-prompted kind of thing, and others need to have more time. But taxes, it's just, there's not a lot of fun in it, so let's hold off.
Well, it seems it also relates to organization and how, either physically or mentally you keep your spaces, and how you, plan your life, and, getting things done and then, or not getting them done, and waiting and saying, well, I'll hold off on that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
That is an excellent point. Some people do very well with chaos all around, and they know exactly where everything is, and they like that. They like that sort of, I call it mental noise, because it is literally barking at you. When you see all this stuff that you have to do on your desk, you're looking at all this, and it's all triggering in your brain, and it's causing stress inside the brain.
You're saying they like
positive
it.
stress.
Would they say they like it?
They don't know. They don't know. But but when you boil it down, some people need to know that they've got lots to do, that they're needed.
I'm
just
smart.
gonna say
I'm
it's-
important.
Yes,
I'm valued.
I'm important.
Yeah.
I have to have all this going.
Look at all the stuff I have to do.
I'm
Yeah.
so important because I have so much to do.
I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good.
Whereas
Imagining my
if
desk.
you can build your self-confidence and you can let some of that visual noise and that external noise go away and just focus on one or two things and do them well, then your stress level goes down, your team stress level goes down, and performance goes up.
Yeah. It seems also you have so many things, it's almost like you don't know where to start, so you don't do anything. So you just reshuffle and
Right.
just move it around. And
Right.
you say, well...
Chip away at this,
that-
chip away at that.
And then when you realize that if you just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever,
Exactly.
it's really not, it's always, I think, procrastination is one of those things where you realize at the end of it, it really wasn't that big a deal to get that done.
Right.
It's
Nine
once you
times
start
out of
doing
100,
it. Yeah, like,
We have a new phenomenon called adult onset ADD,
hello.
which is actually a direct result of our handhelds, because we are interrupted all the time. Our ability to concentrate for long periods of time is diminishing very rapidly. Now, granted, we can get things done faster with all that technology, but our ability to finish writing the report and sit for 1 full hour
Right.
is really becoming quite a challenge. And as a matter of fact, some of the learning stuff that I do online, we've actually designed it so that they're only 15-minute segments that you're getting the lesson before you get the homework, and then next week you get another 15-minute lesson, because we can't hold them for an hour anymore.
Yeah. It's like, are you running your email, or is your email running you?
Yes, email is a very dangerous.
I heard somebody recently say that he has ADHAM, attention deficit. Hey, a monkey!
That's great. That's
that great?
I haven't heard that one before.
Anything, great stories from companies that are creating environments that are less stressful, or have created? It has the new wave of, tech companies that have ping pong tables and snack machines or free chefs and all that. Does that actually create less stress, or those companies less stress than the traditional old school ones?
That's a great question. I think that there are organizations that are clearly experiencing some rejuvenated enthusiasm when the ping pong table comes in, and so on and so forth. And if there is a culture to use it, then that's awesome, because then there's people usually using it all the time. But a lot of companies have done that, and then the novelty wears off, and they all go back into their cubicles, and they all end up using their work time as work and not necessarily stepping out and doing the play thing, because play increases creativity. So you want to encourage it. The person who is most influential here is the boss. If the boss is out there playing ping pong, people are going to come out of their office and they're going to play. Or if they're walking on the treadmills that they've installed, where they have
their desk is a treadmill.
Your desk is a treadmill. If the boss is doing it, that's where it goes back to that leader. If the boss is doing it, then others will follow. But what happens is, oftentimes I've seen that a lot of work has gone into it. The boss doesn't participate, so then people are like, well, maybe it's not okay.
Yeah, it's interesting to think how long it's going to take for that, I guess it would be left brain mentality of, the drudgery and the 15-hour days and whatever, to change into, stopping every 2 hours and taking a 20-minute walk is not it's not looked as, oh, you're goofing off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, when is that?
It's almost like you have to set a timer.
Yeah.
You think of Smokey and the Bandit, where his watch would go off, and you're like, the sheriff.
Yeah.
That's right. But I mean, it's a real deep cultural thing.
It is.
Notice in grindstone, and we can all be guilty at moments, I'm sure, of thinking that that's what I should be doing, whereas actually it's proven that taking that break, that 15, 20-minute break of whatever, doing whatever makes you less stressful, actually then all of a sudden your time is now much more productive and much more enjoyable and much more...
And Tony, you used the word culture. It is the culture of the organization, it is the personality of the organization, which is highly formed by the industry that they're in, the leaders that are organizing it, and the longevity of the employees. If you have lots of long-tenured employees, there's a culture there, there's a belief system there that is either in support of it or poo-poos it, possibly. So if the culture is not buying into it, no matter what you put in, whatever you install, it won't be embraced until the culture changes.
What's some great tips you might be able to give us real quick on small businesses maybe and reducing stress, organizing better?
Right. Well, being a small business, I have hired a lot of coaches, actually, because we as business owners don't necessarily hear ourselves our own belief systems. We have no one to challenge our belief system. So I'm working with a coach right now, and it's a time management focus in order to eliminate the activities that are not producing results and focusing only on the few that are producing results. But I'm discovering that even I, as self-aware as I can be as a coach, that I have some beliefs that I have to be doing certain things in order to be seen as a viable business person, when in fact, when I really analyzed it, it wasn't true. But I needed an outside perspective in order to give me that sort of slap in the face, so to speak. So I really believe in the coaching process because it's so customized, it's so targeted towards you and your belief system. So that is one thing. Spending some time really evaluating what is it that you really, what is the most important. If you could only get 1 or 2 things done this week, what would they be?
That's good.
And then just focus on those. And guess what? If you get them done by Wednesday, then you can add something else to your to-do list.
That's really good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about self-awareness, of course, I'm sure it had you think of the same thing.
Eric Schmidt.
Eric Schmidt of Google. I don't know if you've seen this, but he did a CNN Money interview, and it's like a 40-second clip that I've posted it on my blog, because what he says in this interview is the one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them.
Correct.
And a coach really, really helps.
Yeah.
That's the verbatim quote from Eric Schmidt, who was the Google CEO of Google, the Google CEO for 10 years, and now he's a chair.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
That's great. I would do what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing it. Everybody should do it.
Right. So, thanks for being with us today, Freddi.
Okay. Thank you both.
Yeah. So, you've been watching We Mean Business. To learn more about Freddi Donner and her book, StressLESS Leadership, visit wemeanbiz.tv. For Tony Marciante and myself, Steve Dorfman, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.